Hello everyone. I hope you're doing well today. I'd like to share with you some information about a weave structure called turn twill. You might also hear it called block twill. Very similar, it's just a different way of describing it. There's probably other names out there as well. First of all, I'd like to share with you that I'm wearing something made out of this particular weave structure. This is made out of bamboo. It's a hand-dyed warp, and you can kind of see the little blocks, the little squares of twill in it. You could also, now this one is on tone, two-tone, two different colors of coral, and this is a towel, so you could use it for some table linen as well as wearables. Now this is another one. These two are really the same threading, just treadling a little bit differently. And I'm going to share with you a couple of things. One thing will be looking at the weave structure. Then I'll be also showing you some close-ups of some of the things that I'm sharing with you now. And I'm also going to go to the loom and show you what's on the loom that I'm actually weaving at this particular time. So let's see what's going on and check out Turned Twill. So let's take a look at what people call two things you might hear. You might hear it called turn twill, and you also might hear the same term block twill. They're really a weave structure, not a pattern, and it's based on some block weaving. Here's one threading. What I like about it, there's so many different ways of threading your loom and also treadling. You can get so many different possibilities. It's one reason why I really have fun with it. So let's first of all, we're going to take a look at the threading and then the tie-up. Now you can see here that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we have what we call one block, and over here it goes to 8, 4 times another block, and then it repeats. Now you can change this. You don't have to do it this way. You could do this maybe 4 times and that 4 times. You can expand it. You can do all different settings, whatever you like to do with your threading. And what's fun is that you can treadle differently. In this situation, what I did was a 1, 2, 3, 4 treadling, and then I did 1, 2, 3. So basically you can see here I did it twice, and then this goes just a little bit different. You see the opposite here. Next, we're going to take a look at what the tie-up is, because it's really a twill that's we call either 3-1 or 1-3 because it skips over threads. You can see here, this way it's skipping over 3, and over here it's skipping the other direction. And that's how it helps me figure out, or helps me wrap the idea of what different twills are. 3-2, 1-3, 2-2, all the different terminologies. So that's the first part I'd like to look at. And let's take a look at underneath here. I have a close-up of the tie-up. And this kind of gives you even a better idea of what I'm talking about. Now right here we have 3 and an empty one. And then the opposite is the 1 up, and then these 3 are down. So if you'll think about this, it's really 2 separate 4-shaft looms. If you think about twills that way, one of the weaving instructors I had suggested we start thinking that way when you're thinking of different blocks and things, and that also helped me wrap my brain around it. Again, here's the top part. We have the 1 and then the 3 opposite. And here we have the 3, and the opposites down here. I also like to see the symmetry in the pattern. You can see here, these are tied up here, these are here, and then if you actually look all the way through the middle, you can see that there's a diagonal, and that's the twill, and you get the spaces in there. And you can also see a little more of the close-up of how many threads that it crosses over here, and on this direction, how many threads the warp thread crosses over. So that's basically the structure. I'm going to kind of try to show the best I can on the loom. It's a little harder to see, so I thought it'd be kind of nice to see this diagram. Now I'm going to show you one more, well actually 2 more things. Here is this expanded. So what happened was I expanded. Of course, this is the tie-up over here. And just for your information, I like to put my tabby on the ends because I'm not going to use those very often. But I might want to put those at the beginning and the end. And that's how I do all of, whenever I do something like this. Sometimes I put the tabby in the middle. So here again, you can see the tread. But what's really fun is take a look at all the different treadling. And basically, you're doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're doing 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or here's what happens if you go all the way across. And I'm going to be demonstrating that at the loom in a little bit. So this is kind of a blow up of that. And I'm going to show you one more thing. You can tell this is kind of where it started or where I got connected, all my little notes around here. And this is a nice way of seeing, this is a really fun one. I believe I did some shawls. So at the beginning of the shawl, I put this pattern, then I added this, and then the rest of the shawl, I did this particular block pattern, and then I ended at the other end with this. So again, the possibilities are endless, and again, the threading is different for each one. I'm going to share with you in a moment or the next segment the particular threading that I have right now on the loom that I'm going to be demonstrating a little bit of weaving on. The turned twill, or again, some people call it a block twill, and it is more of a weave structure. Yes, you do need 4 shafts to do this. There's no other way that I can figure out how to explain it and how you can get all of these fun combinations without having at least 8 shafts. Let's take a look at a few samples of turned twill. This is one sample, and it was threaded in blocks, as I explained a little bit earlier, and you can see the 2 different blocks here. But what happened was when I wove, down here I wove probably 8, and then when I got up here I might have woven 12 shots. So it changed a little bit. So that's one of the things that's fun about turned twill. And then in this case, here's another one. Let me show you this one too. This is another one that's kind of an even square. These were both on the same warp, so you can see what's happening. And there's another pattern. Change the color. Now these were all hand-dyed warps, so that's why you're kind of seeing some different shading. Here's another one. And you can see they're the same. They're kind of equal squares. I could have woven them and had elongated them as well. Now these were all done with a bamboo yarn, and it was probably set at about 18 ends per inch. Now let's take a look at what happens if you use a finer yarn. This is some 10-2 cotton, and it was set at 20 ends per inch. Now this is a different threading. You can see the blocks are a little different. Kind of did my own thing. I got on the loom and realized, oh, let me see if I could change things up a little bit. And again, I'll show you all of these also in the on the computer printout on my iPad. So that's another way. And it's kind of interesting to see the other side is basically the opposite, and there's the green. Again, these were all hand dyed. What I really also like about it is it drapes very well. Now, it might be kind of hard to see here. I'll do the best we can on this one. This is also a turned twill. Now, it's kind of hard to see here because I changed the color a little bit. However, let's say the blue. I think on the blue here we might be able to see that these are also blocks, that you can see those. And this is a bamboo also. I think this was also set at 18 ends per inch. As it changes color, here's the yellow. Did it in the yellow part. You can also see how some sections shine a little bit more than others. Now, so here is a drawdown of what I'm weaving on the loom right now. You can see this particular loom was threaded with 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 4 times, and then I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times. Then I did the 5, 6, 7, 8 2 times, and this the other 2 times. And they're creating the blocks you see here. Now, some of them are kind of square, but if you want to treadle even more, you can get more of a rectangular. Now, if we take this down away, or move it over here, you can actually see that. Now, of course, this enlarged a little bit, but here are the 4 and 4, and here are the 8 and 8. Now, I don't have it all the way to the edge and how I did it, but it made a nice effect. So it's quite different than some of the other patterns that I talked about on the previous segment of this talk about turned twill. And this is how that works. And like I did before, this is kind of showing you where I am at the moment. I'm going to tighten it up. This is, I believe I said before, cotton warp, and the weft is a tencel that was hand dyed. So it makes a nice contrast in color. You can really see the difference, and it really will continue on up here to see what's happening. So I'm going to start by going over there, and I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that again. And again. I'm going to do it one more time, which is actually 16. And now I'm going to go and do the other 4, the 5, 6, 7, 8 basically, of my tie-up. Do the 1, next set. And the next one. And one more. And what's fun about this, you can do all different kinds of treadling, change as you go if you're making a scarf for yourself, just having fun. This is going to be a circular scarf, and it's going to be a lot of fun because the warp actually changes colors, another one of those hand-dyed warps. As a reminder, this is set at 24 ends per inch, so the little blocks and squares are going to be a lot smaller. You could do a little thicker. Probably you don't want to go too thick because you are skipping over several threads at one time, and the more you skip over, if it's thicker thread, it's going to snag on things. So I just want to give you another look at what I'm weaving on the loom. All right, we're going to start with where I'm kind of weaving some blocks in a sense. They're almost even. You can see this was the 24 EPI 10-2 cotton in the warp. Decided to weave with some bamboo, kind of a bronze color. So you can see what's happening on that. And then it was like, okay, let's try find a different pattern. So let's see if we can share this one with you. Then I decided to weave with some eggplant. And here I elongated the weaving pattern. So I'm going to pull a little bit more off here so you can see how it changes. Again, this is a hand-dyed warp. I think this is so much fun. You can use this with, as I said probably before, with scarves, with clothing, with towels. There's so many different things you can do with this particular weave structure. You can kind of see it there again, how it changes color. And again, this is the one side and the other side is just the opposite. So they drape very well. So on a scarf, you have basically the same pattern on both sides, just a little bit different. Next, I'm going to do a little bit of weaving and explain what I'm doing, how I'm weaving the pattern in this particular warp. See what's happening with this. I have a contrasting yarn, so hopefully you'll be able to see the different patterns. And I'm going to start and just see what would happen if I go directly across, which means I'm going to do the first treadle and get that started there. And the next one. Tripod's kind of in my way of weaving. So I did the first 4. It's kind of maybe hard to see. Now I'm going to do the second set. And see that. Now it's kind of hard to see. There's a little bit of a pattern going on, but it's a little bit difficult to see. Now let's see if I did. So that was 4 and 4. Now I'm going to do 8 and 8. So I'm going to do the first. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to go back again on the same one. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, so we're starting to see something going on here, a little bit of a pattern happening, the twill pattern. Let's do the same thing on this next one. And I'm going to do it again. It's actually 8. The other reason why I like this is just so much fun because you can kind of play around with it. Once you have whatever threading you decide, block design, you can keep playing around with it. All right, let's do it again. And this time I'm going to do 12 on each. I have a sticky shaft right now. We have a little bit of humidity in the air around here, so sometimes even I feel a little sticky. So we're on the next 12. So that was 12. And let's do another set over here. So hopefully you can kind of see what's happening, a little bit of difference, get my head out of the light there. You can see as the blocks keep getting a little bit larger and larger. And these two colors are not that big a difference, the bronze and kind of an olive gray. As I keep weaving, there's a darker brown. But what's interesting is even with a subtle change, the light, how the light hits and catches the twill pattern in different ways. So much fun to use. Trying it out on your loom. Of course, unfortunately, if you don't have 8 shafts, you can't quite do the same kind of effects on here. And you can mix and match and have so much fun experimenting with it that I think you might not get tired of it for a while. You might get kind of stuck on turn twill.